Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tyler from Bombs Away, just issuing a quick trigger warning for the content of this episode, as this film does have quite a few depictions of sexual assault. We just wanted to give you guys a heads up for those of you who may not want to listen to this type of content. Otherwise, on with the show.
As depressing an experience as I've ever had going to movies.
Now, I know some people found this movie fun, but me, I'd rather spend 2 hours having root canal work done.
It's a terrible film from beginning to end.
You know the theory of reincarnation, where the dues we pay in this lifetime may get to collect in another lifetime? For having seen this movie, I want months and months and months in a beautiful valley.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, we give it a 3. Well, maybe it wasn't that good. Let's give it a 1.
Wizards, witches, warlocks, and pig people. Welcome to Bombs Away, a bad movie comedy podcast. My name is Tyler Rowe, and joining me for the first time ever in person, as always, is
Peyton Bieber.
And
A bad movie comedy intro podcast. Jared Seifert.
You didn't like that?
No, I saw an opportunity and I took it.
It's what J.K. Rowling wishes she could have done without all the anti-Semitism and everything like that. Yes, welcome to Bombs Away. We are in person for the first time as this team. It's been, I know Peyton has been on the show with Jarrett in person.
Yeah.
And Peyton has been on the show with me in person, but it has never been the three of us person doing the show together. Yeah, because you did Spider-Man 3.
Right.
With Jarrett and Jonathan.
Yep.
And then you did Jaws.
Oh, because I ducked out of Jaws 2
with me and Jonathan, but Jarrett wasn't there. So we've never, ever been on the show.
And I was supposed. Did we ever do Jaws 3?
No, that is coming up in August.
We didn't do Jaws 3?
We did Jaws 3. I'm sorry, Jaws 4.
No, I was like, that was the one that I was supposed to be on.
Yeah, I love Jaws 3. We've talked about this. But we're not here to talk about sharks. We're here to talk about shirtless men.
Yeah.
A lot of sexual assault.
Oh.
And
nudity.
Some wizards and nudity.
Don't say nudity. Just say boobs.
Boobs. No, there's butts.
Boobs
there's
and
butts.
Women butts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
this is for my straight people. 2 out of 3 in the room.
Someone would like to say otherwise, because I don't do this often, but I did bring up the IMDb plot keywords for this movie. I've never looked at those before. The plot keywords for this film for today is breasts, homoerotic fight, sword and sorcery, lust, and sex scene.
No, the homoerotic fight was 2 women on women in the mud bath.
No, the two dudes fighting.
The 2 dudes fighting. No, that doesn't count. There was sexual tension there. I did not pop a chub on that one.
You might be asking yourselves, what are you guys talking about? We are talking about 1983's Deathstalker with a whopping 4.6 on IMDb, a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes, directed by John Watson, which is actually not his name. It's James Sbardadelatati.
Italian.
I believe he's Italian. I believe this is an Italian production, but it's
Isn't
English.
he the heir to the Sabaro?
What?
The Sopranos?
I don't think he has any money now, because I think Sabaro went bankrupt.
Damn, that plastic cheese pizza.
But it's starring Rick Hill as our titular character, and wouldn't you believe it, he is the least famous person out of this entire movie.
Fun fact about this movie, there's a lot of titular characters. On a roll.
Speaking of titular characters, up next we have Barbie Benton, who is a famous Playboy Playmate. She was also on Love Boat, all that. That's our princess for the movie.
She wasn't a princess in this movie.
She's a princess.
Is she?
Yeah,
oh, she's a princess.
Princess.
I don't know who.
See,
I don't know
she's the
name.
king's daughter.
They barely name her.
They don't name anyone.
Her, so I'm like,
I didn't even know the guy's.
She's there for one specific funny scene. That's it. And then Richard Brooker. That is our secondary hero, kind of. He has been on the show previously, and we didn't even know. He is Jason in Friday the 13th Part 3.
Who's that one?
That's Ogrun, whatever his name is, the other guy that meets Deathstalker later in the film.
Yeah, guy or the
guy,
the one that Yoda guy,
the one that they have the homoerotic fight with each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's Jason.
He's Jason.
Yes, and then Lana Clarkson, who is an actress among many things, but was famously murdered by the music producer Phil Spector in 2000.
Oh, dang.
3.
Was Lana? What's her name?
I think I've
Lana?
listened to a podcast about that.
Yes, Phil Spector was a music producer.
Yeah.
He was married to her. They went home after being at a restaurant. He shot her and killed her.
Whoa.
He infamously said, I couldn't have killed her because I left my gun at the restaurant that we were at.
Oh, I was going to kill her at the restaurant, and I forgot.
He get away
He did
with
actually
it?
leave his gun at the restaurant. That was a real thing. He actually went back in to get it. And then he committed the murder. He almost got away with it. It took until 2009 for him.
And like a bodyguard was involved or something, or a driver.
It was a mess.
Lana is our strong female.
She's the one who says nothing except has
she's
her
the one
boobs
with
hanging out.
bloated boobs because they're like the circulation's getting cut off.
Yeah, they were
I felt
swollen.
bad for her.
Look,
boobs.
if you guys are ready for tit talk, we're here for tit talk.
Get ready for a gay man talking about women's bodies with zero idea.
Welcome to this episode. Yes, 1983's Deathstalker. Let's get into
what the boob
it.
count is on this.
A lot. Do you? Oh, now here's my question. Do you count individual breasts,
Yes.
or are you counting pairs?
In this movie, yes, because there were scenes where like
A single
sometimes
boob
a
came
boob
out?
would be out,
Yeah.
and then later she might have both out. But I consider those two different numbers.
Then I would say that the count for breasts in this movie is definitely up in like the 50s. I would say like
50s?
50 to 75.
Oh, I was
I
going
would
to say
say,
like
like,
115 or something.
No, but I'm not
Yeah.
counting. I'm not counting repeat breasts.
I am. Because
Well,
each
there's only-
scene is different.
Yeah.
No, but sometimes there's like you see those
Boobie.
girls in the harem several times with their boobs out, and I'm like, what doesn't? I can't count them. I've already seen them.
Yeah, but a different scene, a different
Yeah.
boob.
Maybe
Okay,
a
well,
little
then it's
closer to
probably-
one than
Here,
the other.
you have to think about it like this. If it was a porno and it was broken up by different scenes, then now those would be different. It'd be like, okay, she is featured in this, and so are her boobs. And so they get a feature credit in that
So then
scene.
the count is definitely in the 200s.
Yeah.
If we're
Oh, yeah.
going there. It's high up there. This movie starts with the most confusing like intro possible. With
Starts with it runs with it through the entire film. I'm like, I don't know. They barely gave names to people. Everyone looks exactly
the
the same.
only person that you know for sure that they have a name
Is
is
Deathstalker.
Deathstalker.
And
I don't think that's his real name.
What a crazy name to have. The movie starts with these like goblins shooting out of this like rock. But my main question is, are these goblins or are they just ugly people?
I think they just have that, you know, that tree deformity thing, that skin disease that people
Isn't that that's not HIV? That's a it's an STD, genital warts.
No,
No, when people like they have that disease that makes them look like they're growing trees.
Like tree
it is
bark?
a form of HPV. That's it.
Is
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Dang.
I just thought she became a tree person.
Yeah.
No. God. But I
'Cause
really want to like pick at someone's skin that has it because it's like picking off a scab where it's like I want to trim your tree. bark. That sounds
Ew.
horrible.
Oh, trim your tree?
Yeah,
Oh
they're
my gosh.
I don't know what the conflict in this opening scene is because we have a thief, but he's quickly being upgraded to sexual predator,
Oh.
which everyone in this film apparently is.
Yeah, everyone wants something.
And then these the goblin ugly people start attacking him, to which our hero question mark because the ultimate question that we're going to be asking ourselves through this entire film is Deathstalker a hero? Is he actually worthy of that title? Because he does a lot in this movie that makes me think otherwise.
I just think he's just a guy. He's like, hey, yeah, you? Yeah, Joe? Yeah, go fight the wizard guy. Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't have anything better to do.
Yeah, it's the hero dynamic of who he is, and like you said, of a character where you're like, I think he just happens to be the guy for the job, makes me think a lot of like, this is just medieval Han Solo but worse.
Yeah, he's definitely not a Luke Skywalker type.
No, he's not. He does not have a heroic bone in his body. He's basically just like, all right.
It's like, I mean, if I have to.
Yeah, and
He barely even does what he's supposed to do.
barely. He kind of lucks
know.
into it too. He's like, oh, I chopped
just
off.
like-
I smacked that guy's head off.
God, that witch says I should do it.
Yeah,
Still
so
don't want to.
Deathstalker comes in, he kills all these goblins, he kills the thief with a really weird like and like a dagger comes out of him, and we never see him throw a dagger for the rest of the movie. So that's a skill that we
It was
really
his one dagger.
yeah.
And he couldn't get it back,
He's like,
apparently.
shit, now it's ruined.
That's my good dagger,
Dude, there's
too.
blood on that. No.
He's like, that guy smelled. Yes, we're 6 minutes into the movie. First shot of bare breasts, almost bare ass, because, like I said, on the hero front here, Deathstalker it almost appears that he forces himself upon this woman that he just saved. However, I did notice upon this is like my third time seeing this movie. On this third time, I did notice she does seem receptive to what's going on.
She definitely has that. I think there's a name for it where like the heroic guy, she falls in love with the hero.
Oh,
she's like,
yeah.
You saved me. I'm gonna.
Is that Munchausen's? No, that's when you get sick.
It's
Stockholm syndrome.
That's being held hostage.
Yeah.
But that's
I just
also
think
it's like the idea,
I
though.
think she's just like horny for the trauma.
She's
like, oh, you saved me. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what he's thinking. He's like, nice.
ooh, nice sword.
And then right in the nick of time, this old man shows up. He's like, what's yo? He's like, what do you want?
Not even that. He's like awkwardly looking at them for like 5 minutes.
I think he was watching.
Oh, he was
to see where it was going.
There's
like,
a
"Where's
lot
this
of
going?"
watching of sex in this
Yes,
movie where it's like, can you guys just not watch me bone?
Death cuckold. He says, what do you want? He's like, your name. And then
Death voyeur.
Death voyeur. Death stroker. He's like, outside.
Death raper. Oh.
He says, Deathstalker says, outside. Meet me outside. It's like, Deathstalker, you're outside. You're in the woods. What do you mean outside? What's more outside than where you currently are?
He means outside of the vicinity so he can
Outside
get it
the
on.
camp, but
Well, he
still,
leaves immediately, obviously, and we never see that damsel in distress.
Well, yeah, she's
ever
like,
again.
I'm out of here. I'm not gonna.
This movie treats women like tissues. Once you blow in them, you just throw it to the ground and
You're
go.
like, next.
Yeah.
There is a scene in the movie, we'll get to it eventually, but it's very disjointed where they just show a woman get taken to the castle, and it's like a 3-second scene, and it takes place in a completely different location.
He'll like you.
Yeah, it's like,
Puts her
why
boob
did you
away.
what, is this an explanation for where the women were coming from? Because I don't care.
There's so much that is not described in this film, but there's so much that's shown.
Yeah.
Well, and
And
then
it
so
doesn't
much that's
balance
not
out.
There's-
so much that's not described, but don't worry, a witch in voiceover will explain
Yeah.
most of it to
And
us.
there's very little setup to a lot of things. You're like, I guess this is how things are. I don't know.
Yeah. Deathstalker meets the king. This is the king that he meets in like a ramshackle tent.
Not even in a tent. He's just in the woods.
Yeah,
He's like under a pop-up.
He's like a little easy up.
Easy
Go.
up. Yeah. It's like, I'm selling my wares.
With his makeshift pointy
What are
crown.
you buying?
Yeah, and
That always gets.
what are you selling?
Great
And
game.
Deathstalker immediately starts talking mad shit to the king. He's like, damn, you're poor as fuck. The king explains to us who our villain for this is. His name is Munkar. He is a magician who was originally the king's magician, but then took over. And it's like, why in your right mind as a king would you allow someone who has like strong magic to be like in your court if you don't have magic yourself?
Or
Because
let
in
them
his
be-
mindset, he's like, if the magician is powerful and he's on my side, then I'll be better against other people.
Well, that
He wasn't
really
expecting
backfired on
That
him.
backfired.
Hey, you got to
The
keep
wizard's
your
like-
enemies close.
I guess so.
The wizard's like, yeah, forget you. I'm just gonna own this place now.
But also, why would the wizard just not kill the king? Why would you let
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
Everyone's
get that
got
either.
poor management
there
skills.
definitely could be a prequel to this movie that sets up everything.
The prequel it would be just like the prequels of Star Wars. It would just be politics 90% of the runtime of the film. He mentions to Deathstalker that he's looking for a hero, and even in this moment, before Deathstalker says it too, I was like, do you have anywhere else to look? Because like you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
is Hyrule around here? Maybe go over there first.
Deathstalker, he's only a hero because he's hesitant to rape. He'll do it, but he's hesitant.
Deathstalker is like a
I'm not that bad.
he's only a hero in the sense of like if someone held a gun to my head and said go in that building on fire, like I guess I have to. Because he says, oh, you need a hero, and he says it sounds like you need a fool, and he's like, heroes and fools are the same thing.
That's one of the best lines of this movie.
It actually is really good. So
It's like, dang.
the screenwriter, when he wrote that line, he was like, fuck yeah.
See,
Here's my
think-
daytime Emmy.
I really think that this story was written to be like a really deep porno, but then they were like, well, we don't want to show cock, so we'll just make it into a movie.
You
Because
bring
they got
up
the
an
play girl or
interesting-
the play bunnies.
It's very
You bring up an
softcore.
interesting point because at the time that this movie came out, sword and sorcery films were at their all-time high. This was the time where you could actually make money doing fantasy movies. And all you had to do was do fantasy and a lot of breasts. And then you're like, drag people in.
Why'd you hold back from saying titties?
I don't know.
You're like, breasts.
I struggle. I don't know why. Something stopped me from saying it. That's what we also see in like the Ewok movies that we've covered on the show.
Oops.
No, Ewok titties. No, in the Ewok movies that we've covered, they also turn into sword and sorcery. There's magic in them outside of the Force. There's horses. I don't know why, but
like Sword in the Stone.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the
Black
height,
Cauldron.
the height of it all at this time. You had like Conan.
Never-ending Story, I think.
Never-ending Story sucks.
Labyrinth is so good.
Labyrinth sucks too. I hate Labyrinth.
You remind me of the Babe. What Babe? The Babe with the power. What power? The power of voodoo. Hoodoo. You do remind me of the Babe.
Who do you remind me of? That goblin that pisses in a lake.
His name is Jareth. And I love it. It's like me.
So we learn that he needs to save him because Munkar has kidnapped the king's daughter. And, so we go to Castle Munkar at this point. And this is when the movie really starts being like, hey, this is what you're getting into, because it is just so much nudity in this opening scene. There is 2 fully nude women in like a well in the center of this castle, just like rolling around in it. And you're like, whoa, that was graphic. And then it pans out and it is just a harem of nude women in this castle. This is also where we see the princess, I guess, try to escape.
I guess.
You know, one of the ladies in there was like, you know, this isn't too bad.
No, that's the ladies that were mud wrestling later in the movie. They're like, we're actually into
this. And the guy jumped in and they were like, damn.
Hey, way to ruin the fun. Yeah. And then we're out of that castle. The castle set must have been too expensive to film in, because you're only ever in the castle set, except for one part of the movie. You're in it for like 10 minutes at a time. Or like if that, it's like 5 minutes. Like, okay, that's the castle anyway. Moving on to the forest.
The next movie needs this set real quick.
The pacing of this movie sucks.
Yes, because okay. Also, if anyone's gonna go watch this movie, which I recommend, unless I was gonna put like a trigger warning on the front end of this, unless you are really upset by the things that we've already been talking about, do not watch this.
Yeah, it's a great movie unless
you are very upset about that stuff.
Yes.
I do have to say is that within the film, it is understandable. Within the film, it's not portrayed as if that is what's happening, which is a problem. But at the same time, you can almost switch your brain off to be like, it's not being conveyed to be bad things in certain scenes, and in other scenes it is. Which
Game of Thrones can do it.
And that's not like
Game of Thrones had a lot of like
but they highlight that it's bad. And they're like, don't do that.
Yeah, and then
this movie's
Khaleesi
like,
kills all
sometimes
those
they just deserve
people.
it. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like you won.
If this movie was made today, I think it would be.
I think that is funny. It's like women are prizes in this movie, which is a very interesting, like,
yikes.
but it's that thing of like, okay, I know this is bad, but it's also a film set in medieval times, which that would very much be a thing.
Oh, you're a historian on medieval times?
Yes, I am. I'm actually from medieval times.
What?
Yeah, I was a server.
A serf?
I said a server at medieval times.
Oh.
You know, the restaurant. Thank you.
Thank you. SoCal
I'm
humor.
glad that joke landed as flat as possible.
Belly flop.
We cut to a random forest where a random guy is being dragged behind a horse, and then he cracks against a tree and he dies. And
that's it.
That's all he wrote. Because
there's about 18 random forest scenes in this movie too,
and they're all like disjointed and weird. Yeah.
They're like, I don't know, turn the camera around and we'll use this spot again.
Well, you can see.
We got the permits for it.
You can see, you guys obviously in front of me, not you listening, but you can see my notes. It's very clear that it's just like forest. Oh yeah, then a forest. Oh yeah, then another part of the forest. Deathstalker kills these guys, and then we meet a witch. Don't know who she is. But
don't know why she's important, but she is.
And then this guy's name is Kang. That's another thing that was really weird.
That guy's name's Kang?
Yeah, his name's Kang. And
the cave
No,
Yoda?
no. The guy who attacks the witch. His name is Kang.
Oh, okay.
Does Kang ever come back?
No, because he's not a real person, which is really weird. The witch uses the weakest spell I have ever heard. He's trying to like beat her with her staff, and she goes, "Transform staff to serpent," and it turns into a snake.
God.
And then Kang turns into a bird.
What does he say? He's like, "You'll never kill me like this," and then he starts like shrinking somehow.
Yeah, he starts like sucking up into his suit, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's turning back into the little aliens from from Space Jam." But he turns into a bird, and he flies away with an amulet.
The amulet. So is this the same guy that Deathstalker fights?
No.
In the cave.
No.
And he smacks his head off.
No, this is the guy who gets turned into a woman later. This is Kang.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
That's not.
yeah.
No, it's not.
He gets turned back into a
that
bird.
guy is his henchman.
Yeah.
This is a henchman to the.
I thought.
This guy looked totally different.
Yeah.
Oh damn!
See, I feel like there was a scene left out where.
There is many scenes left out of this movie.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like Kang at some point got attacked by
a bigger bird.
Murdoch, who's who's the evil guy? Munchlax.
You made me forget his name because you're
Modor?
so wrong. Munkar.
Munkar. Okay, kind of right on both fronts. But Munkar, like, I feel like there was a scene where Kang is killed by Munkar, and that's how Munkar gets the amulet. But we're not shown that.
Oh, okay. I could accept that as an explanation.
Yeah,
I can
maybe
accept that.
Because then the amulet is like hanging in, I don't know, a pit or something.
That shit's
It's
so
stupid.
weird.
Yeah.
But
in the bombs away cut. That's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah, there we go. We will
We'll
go back
re-edit.
and refilm scenes of
know-
us as the characters
In your backyard.
in the scenes, yeah, in the dirt. The witch explains literally just the lore of the Triforce
Pretty much.
To him, but at
Don't sully the Legend of
actually,
Zelda.
technically speaking, the Legend of Zelda sullied the story of Deathstalker
Yeah.
because this is before
Right?
Legend of Zelda.
This is a
What
very
year was this?
83.
83.
Then 80 what was the
they're
first
having
one?
their 30th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
35th.
Yes, 35th. So, sorry, bud. But if you really want to get into
85.
it, the Triforce and
Power, wisdom, and courage. How does that equate to cup, necklace, and sword?
they say they're the three powers of creation, and they
Yeah.
each
yeah, but the
stand for a
Triforce is not
different-
the three powers of creation.
No, I
Those are
know,
the
but-
three goddesses.
But
You really want to test me on my Zelda
I know
lore?
you know your Zelda.
Yeah, we were
But what I
watching
was
a
going
Zelda
to say
theory.
is, if you really want to go even further than that, you can say that the Legend of Zelda and Deathstalker both ripped off the same thing, which is the Bible, because they're just
Yeah.
talking about
Everyone rips off that
The
Bible.
Holy Trinity.
Yeah, the Holy Trinity is
Yeah.
what they're really
The
talking
trilogy
about.
is used in everything.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
stupid. But yeah, she
number
explains to
3?
him there's 3 items. There's an amulet, a chalice. Oh yeah, and a sword that I already have. Here you go.
Yeah.
Just like,
He doesn't have the sword.
doesn't she?
No,
No,
he
he's
gets
gotta
it
go
from
into the cave.
You get that from Trogdor.
from Cave Yoda.
No, that Trogdor's a dinosaur.
Trogdor.
A dinosaur.
He's a
A
dragon. Yeah. So Deathstalker and the Witch do some peyote. They have a vision trip together where they
Yeah, they
go
do.
through a murky swamp. We finally get to see Munkar. We have not seen him yet. He has a really shitty.
The man with a dragon tattoo.
Yes, but it's like very clearly drawn on with like
It's like a
sharp
dumb tree.
and
Does it grow throughout the
No,
show? Because I swore it like started really small, and then by the end it's like halfway across
It's
his
the
head.
evil spreading across.
no, but you know what? You're
It's his tree HPV.
oh my god,
gosh.
he's turning one of those ugly people.
Oh, it's not their fault. It's a genetic.
No,
they're
I meant
born
the
with it.
goblins.
Oh, I was like, no, they're born with it and susceptible to HPV.
Maybe it's Maybelline. No, it's funny that you say that because I wouldn't be surprised if it just got bigger over time during shooting because apparently they didn't have a continuity person on set because throughout the movie it changes sides of his face.
No, really?
Yeah,
I didn't notice
there's
that.
like 2 or 3 scenes where it's on the wrong side of his face.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoops.
He's magic. He's doing it.
Yeah, I don't even know how to explain Munkar's story. He doesn't even have a motivation. I don't know
He
why
just
he's
is,
bad.
like,
He's
wants
just
power.
bad. Yeah, that's it.
He's pretty typical 80s bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm evil
Now-
because I'm evil.
yeah, it's just so I don't know. It's just so fucking dumb. This movie's also He-Man, which we're gonna get to.
Oh, it is.
I love that part.
So we go to a river.
Become the power. I have the power.
That's all he does. Deathstalker is constantly doing the He-Man pose.
Oh yeah,
He really
totally.
is.
And he's like thunder.
And a little Hercules.
It's all over. Well, and again, that's another Hercules thing at the time. So we go to this river where he sees the witch, in the
all
water.
he wants to do is get a drink of water, and the witch is like, "Get back to your quest."
He's like, "Get out of here, you
Jesus,
spooky bitch!"
he's just thirsty. He smacks the water. She's like, "Ow!"
"You, the only thing you should be thirsty for is the power from the amulet." That's what she says to him, or some shit. And then she's like, "You need to find Salmaron."
The only reason you should be shitting your pants is because of this sword. And he's like trying to take a dump in the woods, and he's like, "Stop it!" She's talking through his poop.
She tells him he needs to go find Salmaron, which is like a fish Digimon. I guess that's what I initially thought of.
It sounds like it.
You love Digimon.
I love
You would
Digimon.
know. Is there a
Digimon
Salmaron?
monsters.
I got one on me right now.
Oh my God!
Don't let him talk about it.
But so he goes to find Salmaron, which apparently his little cave is on the other side of this river that he's drinking from.
Very convenient.
So that's convenient.
It's like right down the river. It's like, oh, hey, look, there it is.
It's like in a video game where you like accidentally complete the prerequisite or like a piece of a quest before you take the quest, and they're just like, oh, you already did that? All right, quest done. Good for you.
You're like, wait, how do I do this?
So Deathstalker goes into this cave, and he's just like, the noises he's making when he was crawling, sometimes it cracks me up. It's very clear that like actors have never done something actually strenuous in their life, like because he's crawling through this cave and he's like, he's like making all these like sexy.
The hottest part of the movie for me.
She was like,
Closed
okay.
my eyes and I was like, oh yeah.
Okay, now you have my
Crawling
attention.
through my cave.
Crawl through
Going deep.
Go into my cellar.
Ignore the muddy
cave.
parts.
So we finally get to see Salmaron or whatever his name is, and he's fucking disgusting.
He's Yoda.
looking.
I'm telling you,
Weird
he's like,
puppet. But also they were like,
I'm not sure if it's a puppet. I think it's like weird makeup. I think
it
it's a
looked
mask.
like a puppet.
I think it's a mask. It looked very
Or a
mask-like, especially when they're
disjointed
walking,
mask,
and he's like holding the
oh.
little guy's hand. It looked like it reminded me
Oh,
from
dude, he has
from
the
E.T. like the
dumbest
Yoda.
fucking lines
God.
in that scene.
He's like cracking jokes like left and right, landing not at all. And
No,
it's just-
they're not even like, I'm not even sure if they're jokes. They're just bad.
it's just like
the things that
commentary.
yeah.
It's like,
I
wow, he
haven't
swung
seen
a
the
sword.
sun in years. Oh my god.
He's like, oh, it's so bright, and then he falls in that river. So he gives the sword to Deathstalker, and he's like, here's the sword. There's a giant in this cave.
This is the stupid thing. He's
BTW.
like, you're here. I don't have a sword for you. And then there's a troll, and then he's like, I've got a sword for you.
Also, this sword
And-
doesn't have consistent power
I don't-
throughout the movie because he takes it and he taps the club that the giant has, and the club crumbles in his
Yeah.
hand, and,
And he
then
goes,
later
huh,
on it's never
It
that
can
good.
cut through stone.
Yeah,
And it's like, what?
but he does this is the first time he does by the power of Grayskull thing. He gets the sword, and he's like,
I have the power.
and then the music.
No, and then
Whoever scored,
and I just immediately thought of Thundercats. He's like, thunder, Thundercats. Oh,
it's the same shit too above his head with like the lightning.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, whoever scored the Wonder Woman portions of the Snyder Cut for Justice League was inspired by Deathstalker, because every time Deathstalker touches the sword, it plays this like music on top of it. Yes, like we said, apparently now Deathstalker's a child. I don't know. I felt like I turned away
This
for
was
20
weird.
minutes.
That was the weirdest part. He walked out a child. He's all like, "Yeah, look at me, I'm a kid." And
Do
I'm
you
like,
think Deathstalker is his given name? Do you think he was Deathstalker when he was a child, like when he was born?
it's like
like
Star Killer? It's like, how did he? Why?
Krog
How?
or something.
Krog? You think his name was Krog?
It's like something stupid that sounds common, but then it's like, no, that's not what
Hey,
we
my
use
name's
today.
Ken.
It's like, hi, I'm Krog. Craig? No, Krog.
Craig, and that's how Craig came to be.
It's like, are you sure it's not Craig? Have I been pronouncing my name wrong this whole time?
I meant Deathstalker. What? Yeah, Deathstalker. It's my name. All right.
Have you ever even killed anyone, Deathstalker?
I've stalked him to death.
No. How can you call yourself that then?
It just sounds cool. Gosh.
Kills the guy?
Yeah.
Now I'm Deathstalker. And if you leave your doors unlocked, I'll become Night Stalker.
Oh, dang.
Oh, it's bright.
So, yeah, I was wondering if this scene was ad-libbed, because the things that he says are just like, what?
They're like,
gotta
just
be.
kind of talk. You've never left your cave, I guess.
And then he turns into Mr. Bean.
And then he turns into a
He
dude!
turns into Mr. Bean.
I was so confused!
Yeah.
Was he like cursed?
I think he
so.
was cursed and then like the
Something-
water replenished him? Question mark?
I'm so fucking
Falls in
confused. He falls in the river and he turns into a dude, which was so
Yeah,
I
fucking
know.
confusing to me. So we cut to another forest.
God damn it.
Surprise.
And again, another sexual assault is happening. That's the only crime that they seem to be able to show people committing.
What did people do back then? Kill each other and rape? Probably.
Get rid of the kill each other part. We might have a movie. They basically tell each other that is Sarah, whatever his name, Salmon and Deathstalker, that they need to find another person to help them fight. And then they just happen to stumble upon a guy who's rescuing a woman. And they're like, there's our guy. Another sword fight. There's a great scene where I don't know why they thought this would look cool, because it doesn't, but Deathstalker stabs a guy and then turns backwards and holds the sword in the guy's stomach, and then the guy like pisses blood all over him. The way that the blood spurts out, it's like and it just looks like cranberry juice too. It's like very thin blood. But yeah, this is Ogress is his name.
Is that the guy's name?
Yeah.
I didn't even know he had a name.
I had to go back to this scene to remember it, because it's the only time they say his name.
And is this when we find out that there's actually a competition?
Yes, this one he's like, oh yeah, so Munkar's having a competition. Whoever wins gets to become Munkar's heir. And Deathstalker instantly is like, that's pretty dumb considering he's immortal. It's just like, you'll never become his heir.
For such a brood, he's like, yeah, that's pretty. I'm pretty smart, actually.
Yeah, he's like, I'm actually really smart. You guys, that's why I'm so angry. It's like, because you guys are a bunch of fucking morons.
That's why I really don't care about it, because I'm like, I just know. I'm just so smart.
So then
I'll
it immediately
go, but just for the boobs.
Pretty much.
I want to win just for the titties. So now they're having a romantic campfire. They're all sitting around. They hear a noise, and Ogress is like, spirits. And again, Deathstalker, he's like, spirits don't make noises.
Dang, such a smarty.
It's like, what do they do, asshole? Like, what?
They go around going, ooh, and then chains rattle.
Sometimes they go bump in the night. Like, you know?
You cannot run and you cannot hide. That's the second song that's technically that I've sung. The second song that I've sang today, that's also technically in Scooby-Doo the movie.
Oh my god. Man. I was really like,
you remind me of that Babe.
Really?
What Babe was also featured in it.
Yeah. God. It's almost like that's like your favorite movie.
It, baby. Things go bump, bump, bumping. Are we going to get DCMA'd?
No, because they'll be like, that guy's singing it so bad, we don't even care. They don't have to pay for it. So
this is when the lady comes.
Yeah, and there's a fight happening, and they allow Ogress to fight this woman, and Deathstalker just stands there. And I don't know why in this movie specifically, everyone waits their turn to fight. They're like, oh, it's not fair if two people fight one guy.
2-on-1? That's not
It's
nice.
like, let's just let them fight. So
well, they don't know it's a woman yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ogress slashes up on this person in a cloak, and their breasts fall out. And I thought that was just because they got slashed, but apparently that's the costume.
Yeah, that's the costume. It's like a rubber bands just kind of separating their boobs, cutting off circulation, and they're nice.
It's like,
they're swollen.
It's
and
like
look
she's wearing like a
purple.
chest harness, but like too tight.
It's literally just two belts strapped around a woman's chest. You guys listening,
looks uncomfortable.
Look it up. This woman, has enormous boobs. This is
It's not the boob cut
I would
podcast.
say they were engorged because of the strap she was wearing.
This is like, Lana Clarkson. All respect to the deceased.
Yeah.
You know, but she.
I'm sure it wasn't her choice to be like, can you give me some uncomfortable boob
she was,
holders?
I think, also a Playboy Playmate. So I think
But
this was not
still,
outside of her wheelhouse of like things that she was comfortable doing. But her boobs are just out, and it's just her costume.
She has no armor on or anything.
No, and guess what, guys? She's gonna say one line, and it's not even right now. Really, it's like way later. She's gonna say something.
All the men have at least a few lines, maybe. The women, zero.
And honestly, there's not much to say in this movie at any point, so it's not like you're missing anything.
It's like a silent film,
basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is just, her tits are out the whole time, and also her and Deathstalker instantly have chemistry. Apparently,
yeah. Somehow, it's very male. D&D character, female creation.
This is totally male fantasy fulfillment.
Yeah.
Rolled a 20 on like sexual persuasion.
Yeah, instantly a nat 20 on like charisma right now, like persuasion. She's just like, oh, I'm so horny right now from that 20 you rolled.
She rolled a 0.
I know
on
the
clothing.
creek's right there, but there's a flood happening right here.
I rolled a nat 1 on clothing. So now we're back at Munkar's harem. If you didn't get enough of breasts, here's another.
Is that a strip joint located off the 5?
I think we passed it on the way here.
Disneyland. Munkar's harem. They have a really good $2 Steak Tuesday.
Ooh.
I've always wanted to go to a strip
That's something
club
that
just
they
to
do.
eat.
That's something that they do at the library, which is off of 91.
At the library?
Yeah.
That's not what I'm thinking. I
no,
immediately
it's not
thought of a
where you get
library.
books. No.
Peyton doesn't pay attention on his drive home from work.
I was like, wait, I've passed by that place, and I'm pretty sure it's not a library.
Yeah, it's in
Library.
Fullerton. Yeah, it's a strip club.
I think I've passed by it a few times.
There used to be a billboard right off 91 near where we worked that said library
Dox
voted
ourselves,
number 1
please.
best strip club in OC. $2 Steak Tuesday.
Oh.
And I'm like, honestly, it's kind of hard to like make a bad steak.
Yeah.
So
I mean, as long as
I'd
it's
be
not
down.
like charcoal.
It's not. You just cook it all the way through and don't even try.
But I'm like, it's still
Yeah.
steak.
Yeah,
$2
right?
if
$2
it's
for
bad.
steak?
It's meat. I'll eat meat.
And you can look at boobies while you're eating it too.
What's
so
the,
I'm
I
like,
say
what's
that,
the
but I
size
legit
of
ate
the
dog
portion?
treats the other day.
well, it's literally like a little tiny like
it
like the dog treats Jared ate the other day.
They were 100% beef. Beef was the only ingredient.
Listen,
they
I'll
tasted
come out.
really
I'll
good.
come out right now and say it. Milk bones don't taste that bad.
They do. I've had those.
Never had them.
You don't like them?
They're too dry.
It tastes like a really stale bread.
Ugh. Exactly.
The only treat I've been like tempted to try just to see if it compares is the bacon strips.
No,
Bacon strips.
Have you really?
Because I know how bad they are.
Did you try it?
No, heck no, I would never do that.
Oh, I bit a corner off one. They're awful.
But like, I'm just
No,
like,
they're
okay, they
filler.
say they're bacon.
That's why you got to get the natural treats.
What
They're
do
really
they actually taste
Welcome to
like?
Bombs
They're
Away
vegan.
Reviews dog treats that we've eaten.
Yeah.
good. I worked at a dog supply store, so I'm no stranger to eating dog food.
So yeah, there's a cat fight over some chicken.
I loved this, but it went nowhere.
This scene.
Where she's like, "Give me that thigh," and it was a chicken thigh, not another lady's thigh. But she's
that
like, "Give
was
me the
nice.
thigh,"
Yeah,
and then she eats it and is like, "It's mine now."
She's like, mine, and then it cuts instantly to a guy with his eye hanging out of his head. It's like, ah!
What was the point of that? Like, there's discourse amongst the ladies that amounts to nothing.
It was so scary when that guy's eyes hanging out of his head, and then there's a meat
That
puppet.
was a child.
Yeah, it is a child.
Like,
yeah.
Or preteen. Or teen.
Wait,
I
was
think
it-
young adult.
That was a child? Because I think the child, over time, like, progressively gets worse.
I thought he just died in the next
He
scene.
did die
Because he's
Because
shackled
he's,
up.
like, shackled up.
I mean, technically speaking, that does mean he got worse.
But also,
His eye was hanging out, and now
he,
he's dead.
had his eye brutally removed, and you could tell that it was like, where do we put the budget? Put it in the the SFX makeup on his eyeball.
Only on this
Oh,
kid. That's where the
yeah.
whole $500,000 it cost to make this movie went.
wait,
Is
really?
right there. I
500?
believe it was
Well, they didn't spend
500,000.
money on the costumes for the ladies
Or the men.
obviously.
I have
Or
a
the men.
theory. I have
Maybe
a
in the pig mask.
that pig.
We'll get to
one
Pig.
Of,
We'll
one
get
of my
to Pig.
favorite characters.
We'll get there. Well, he's about to show up actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like this weird meat puppet that comes out
Jim
of a
Henson
chest.
Reject.
And
Yeah.
it's never explained what it is.
I wanted more explanation on this. Like, what does this thing
Eats
do?
a finger.
It eats
Does
the eye.
It eats
Well,
the
it
eyes
eats the
and
eye.
the
It
fingers.
later eats a finger somewhere.
Is it growing into something like a dragon or
It's
something?
actually
in the
Munkar's
treasure
penis.
chest?
What?
Yeah,
So
so
did
now we're
see
at a
Dick in the
forest at
movie.
night, and guys, like I said, this movie with like random scenes where you think you missed something. This scene is 3 minutes long, and all it is just Deathstalker and that lady have sex.
And he has his pants on the whole time, and we don't see his wiener.
And Salomon watches.
Yeah.
And then he's like, Deathstalker. And then goes back to sleep. So, this is the scene we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Where it cuts to the town.
Yep.
Do you see a woman get kidnapped and her boob fall out?
It's,
And
the
that's
guy
it.
literally like walks up to her and she's wearing a potato sack, but like a fashion potato sack, and he's kind of like, he shakes her and a boob falls out and he's like, ah, and then he opens it more and he's like, bush, and he's like, you'll do, and then just adds her to the chain gang. Is that appropriate to say? But they are all tied together in
Yeah.
a line and
Yeah.
they're forced to walk.
But it's like, this scene is explaining something to you that you didn't even need explained to you. It's like, oh, how do they get all the women?
How does his harem form?
How does this evil guy get his women? I'm
This
sure
is
it's
also
not
when I
by
thought,
bad
I was like,
means.
you know, there's someone in that village that's like, I used to be upset that I was ugly, but now I'm kind of
like, hey, I'm pretty good.
I'm not getting taken.
I did have one thought while watching this.
One?
Uh-oh.
I mean, many, but it does go for men and women. But I'm just like, thinking about like having sex in medieval times makes me want to dry heave. Like the sheer thought of the stench.
So unsanitary.
I think there wouldn't have been a lot of oral.
Well, they don't have teeth probably because they're all rotten out of their...
Oh, they're gumming it.
They're gumming it.
But that's where all the smell, like,
could you just
the
imagine?
pits and bits is where the smell is.
And you're not shaving either, so there's
you
a lot
get
of
the room and
friction,
someone
you know?
opens their legs and it's just like... It's like odor lines.
Who left the trash inside?
They don't really believe
sorry, crosses their legs.
They didn't really bathe back then, too. So.
I thought we were miles from the ocean.
Fish, are we having a nice dinner tonight?
See, I was trying not to go for that obvious joke, but I'm glad you're here to take us there.
It smells like nacho cheese.
No, that's so much worse. Yeah, so then we're back at the castle. Like I said, that scene's completely unnecessary. And this is where we get to, like we were talking about earlier, the mud wrestling.
Yeah. This is the craziest scene.
This scene goes on for, I swear to God, 3/4 of the movie.
So
this scene is like 10, 15 minutes long.
Okay, so this scene, they don't say anything. The movie doesn't tell you anything,